Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
I'm sure I will, Tom.
Yeah, I bet you will. I bet you will.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Dune. Dune. Like the song?
You can call me Paul.
Dune.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known. What's to become of our world?
This is Dune, folks.
It's Dune, part one.
Part one. It has part one energy. I will give it that.
Yeah, it has big part one energy.
Yeah, this is Denis Villeneuve. This is everybody's talking about Dune
For some reason.
Director, he's the Blade Runners. He did Prisoners. Before we get into it, I want another Prisoners from him. Not a sequel to Prisoners, but you know what I mean.
A film like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like his sci-fi stuff is great, but I also like his other films.
Yeah, me too.
Like Prisoners is a solid flick.
Yeah, what'd you think of Dune?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I'm a Dune fan. I'm one of the, 100 or so people that enjoys the David Lynch version, not ironically.
Right. This is the thing about Dune is I liked it. I didn't love it. It's beautiful. I don't expect my experience with this is I watched it with Hannah halfway through. She was like, "So I got other things to do." I'm like, "Cool, see ya." Because you couldn't possibly expect everybody to love this movie.
No.
It's Dune.
It's Dune.
Yeah. It's
a notoriously dense science fiction novel that's been adapted a few times to varying success. But it's basically, I think it's not as big of an ask as it was in 1982 because it's basically Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah, the 1982 film also it's good.
Yeah. But so much of it is internal monologue and
it begs you to pay attention. Every time I watch that one, I forget I forget everything that happened in it. It's just repelling.
Well, the Baron is repellent, but yeah,
repelling to people's attention spans.
It's funny. There's so much droning exposition in the 82 one. Which is funny because the basic story is pretty simple. The basic actual story, the events of Dune, or I guess I've never read the book, so whatever the Dune, the Lynch version and this version are covering, that basic storyline is pretty straightforward. It's just the world building around it is where it'll get lost in the weeds and kind of turn people off.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve, he did nail it to make it
more accessible.
More accessible, yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a more accessible version. It was just easier to follow. It's easier to digest. I think it suffers from one big problem, and it's a problem that a lot of epic sci-fi has. Mm-hmm. Which is that the lead character is not interesting.
I don't know.
He's too. It's this movie has a bunch of interesting characters. Spoilers. And when I say interesting, I mean like charismatic, like you like them, you want to be their friends. And then they all die. And leaving this, leaving this serious face cracker and Rose the Hat. And like, I like them. By the end of the movie, I want them to be okay. But like, you look at something like Lord of the Rings, like that knew to be like, let's get some fucking hobbits in here. Mm-hmm. Let's get some joyous hobbits that get drunk. And you have someone that's relatable. These people are like demigods with like weird psychic powers who never smile. It's again, I do enjoy this movie, but I think a lot of people need more charm at the top when it comes to a character like this or a world like this, where you're really bogging it down with world building. It's very serious. It's an epic. Mm-hmm. I think we always search for somebody that we can be like, they're like us. You know,
everybody needs an entry point for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's when a lot of these fall apart, or not fall apart, but don't perform as well. And I feel like it's a very fixable problem, because the main character, but the problem is, it's sort of the point. Paul he doesn't have any like friends his own age.
He doesn't have any friends. He's
fun. He's not having fun.
Yeah, he has a lot of expectations heaped upon him, although there is a very nice scene with his dad, Oscar Isaac, where he tells him, look, if you don't want to be the Duke, you don't have to be. Like, you don't have to be my successor.
Yeah.
It's so, and I think Timothée Chalamet is, I mean, he's obviously a good actor. So I think, even though the character, there's not like a lot of like dynamism to the character, I suppose, I still found him compelling to watch, and I enjoyed his performance. And he's intense when he needs to be, and he's vulnerable when he needs to be. But I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree. You're like, there's not a lot of. It's a very serious movie, and that's not. I mean, sometimes movies are serious. Like, that's not a knock against it. It's just sometimes movies are serious. It's just on top of being this sprawling sci-fi epic that has to introduce you to this world, it's also very serious. So it can be a big hurdle for an audience to get over, for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of this is built into the story.
Yes,
like they feel like the villains. Like, they're this big, powerful family in this cold, dark, like everything's smooth and inaccessible, and alien, and they're like, and so like, again, going back to Lord of the Rings, and again, this is not about the movies, it's more about how the base story was written. They knew to start like at the Shire, you know, like they do that big intro where they explain everything, and then they're like, and here's a little guy, and he's in nature, and he's relatable, and like, it doesn't have that, and that's hard. That's hard for storytelling. It doesn't feel like it starts with, like, once they get to the desert and once you meet those people, then you have people to glom onto. That woman, I forget her name, who's like the
doctor. She's
like the in between.
Yeah. Their arbiter. Yeah.
Yeah, she's fucking. Once she showed up, I was like, well, I love her. I want more of her. And then she dies, and I was like, oh,
she does. Well, she dies at the end, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I still really enjoyed this movie because this director, everything he films looks amazing.
Yeah. It looks cool. I don't know. I like Dune. Like, I like the movie. I like the story of the Lynch original, and it's pretty much the exact same story, only done a little bit differently and more accessibly, as we said.
It's more stretched out, right? Because this is part one.
This is part one. Yeah, it's more stretched out.
Yeah. Because this again, it has that. It sort of ends in a place where it's not structured like a typical movie, too.
No, it's not. It ends in an odd place.
Yeah, it ends with him just like fighting a guy, and it's like,
well, it's an emotional climax as opposed to like, which it's only really odd when you're looking at it as in terms of this is how this sprawling sci-fi epic ends, but then it's like, well, you know, it is part one, right? And there is an emotional climax for Paul, who is the Timothée Chalamet character.
Yes, there's a bigger emotional climax or emotional moment midpoint when they get attacked,
Yeah.
This also has a lot to do with audience expectations too. Is that films, like you said, it ends on an emotional climax, which makes sense when you're telling a story. I think it's not going to feel that way because there's no big explosions or war. We expect that now. Again, I keep going back to it. It reminds me of the ending of the first Lord of the Rings, which is like they just fight in the woods, and then they're like, well, gonna keep going.
Well, it has a couple of big emotional climaxes. Like Boromir dies, Sam almost drowns because he's like, "This, I am going to follow you, Frodo, until the end." So that movie has a climax for sure. It does,
but it also has Part 1 energy.
Yeah,
Part 1 energy. Yeah, Part 1 energy is a very specific thing in my mind, which is like it ends, like you're saying, on an emotional climax, but not like a cathartic one.
Right.
And so.
Exactly. Not this thing is finished.
Yeah. It definitely, I mean, by design, feels unfinished.
It's not a complete story.
Yeah. I hope this movie explodes. And I hope we move away from superheroes a bit and start thinking about doing epics like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do find this more satisfying.
Yeah, again, as I said, like I totally understand, and it's a fair criticism, that the movie's very serious, and that's a tough hurdle when it's already this big, sprawling epic. But I don't mind having some serious blockbusters as long as they're not like Tenet was just, whatever.
Well, it's all right. That's part of what I like about them. I'm glad they don't look at each other and go, "Oh, our ships look like dragonflies."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, even the serious blockbusters we get with things like Tenet, they're a bit like kind of up their own ass.
Right. And honestly, I'm okay with that though. The problem with Tenet is that I think just a plot. The plot's a mess.
Yep.
Like that movie is just built wrong. I don't mind movies taking their bullshit seriously. With the internet, let us make fun of you. You know, you don't have to make fun of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have fun with your weird bullshit dragonfly ships.
We'll have fun with the how many times Oscar Isaac says desert power.
Yeah, exactly.
In the movie, like that's delightful.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't need Hawkeye to look at me and be like, I got a bow and arrow. It's like, motherfucker, I know you do. Like, look at this. It's Jason Momoa in a suit of armor. Isn't that funny? I'm like, yeah, I guess everybody's wearing armor. Like, am I an asshole for watching this or what? Like, just he's awesome in this movie.
He's another character where I was like, oh, I like him, and then
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I knew he was doomed just because it's Dune. It's the same story it's been. So it's like, well, he's going to die.
Is he the one who? No. Who's the one who in the David Lynch one is played by Patrick Stewart?
Josh Brolin is Patrick Stewart.
Josh Brolin, yes, that's it.
Gurney, I think is his name.
That's
Gurney
very
Halleck.
funny to me.
Yeah.
That those two are interchangeable.
They play it the same way, pretty much.
They do.
Like it's identifiably the same character.
It is. Yeah, I honed in on it because of the training sequence. I knew it was in both. What do you like? I guess I'm curious to know what is it about, dude? Because the Lynch one's fun, but I don't love that movie. I like this one more. You clearly like the story.
I like how weird and I like how weird it is, and how kind of off-putting the universe is. I don't know. There's something.
I like that as well.
Yeah, there's something about it that feels like I like having a serious version of Star Wars.
Yeah, all right. What?
That's kind of dark, and it's kind of caught up in the politics of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of. I mean, obviously, people enjoy that. The Game of Thrones was the biggest thing in the world for 10 years, and this is very. I mean, like in this film, the Atreides are basically the Starks, and the Harkonnens are basically the Lannisters.
Right.
I don't know. There's something about I like adult sci-fi. I don't know. And this universe is, I think, is appreciably dark without being dark. Like with quotes and fucking edgelord dark.
Yeah.
It's dark just because it's kind of like it's not a very it's just kind of bleak. I don't know. But not like overly so. I don't know. It's hard to pin down exactly what I like about Dune, especially as I've never even attempted to read any of the novels.
Yeah, I don't read excuse me. I don't read sci-fi novels, and I feel like people who read sci-fi novels might not agree with me on this. What attracts me to Dune is that it really does feel like something I hadn't really seen before. It's a sci-fi world, but it's like you said, it's weird, it's structured, and it just feels fresh, which obviously not a fresh story.
No, it's
the book
fucking 50 years
60s?
ago.
Yeah.
It's written in the 60s.
But like seeing someone ride a fucking like a sandworm is just like, well, that's not something I've seen in movies.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's the lore. I like the world building, like the dragonfly ships. I think that's dumb, but in a way that I like, if that makes sense. Where I'm like, I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, sure.
When you're making ships, you probably wouldn't do dragonfly wings.
It depends on how, I don't know, like how maneuverable you want to be.
Right. It's just funny to me because it feels like the process behind inventing those is like, what's a weird helicopter? And then you just like think for a second, you're like, dragonfly. But again, I like watching it. I like how seriously everybody's taking it. I love Skarsgård flying around like a Sith Lord.
He was
like,
there's some creepy shit with him. I liked that.
Yeah, there's definitely shit in this or, you know, all sci-fi overlaps. The sandworms look like a Sarlacc pit, which obviously Dune came first, but you know what I mean, where it's like, yeah, Skarsgård looks like Vader without his helmet most of the time. Dave Bautista's, he was Sting? Was that the same character?
No, not at all.
Who is Sting?
Sting is Fade. Fade is not in this movie.
Got it. I was searching for Sting.
No, he's not. He's the Harkonnen's Paul, basically. I don't know I don't know if he's going to come in part 2. Maybe we'll see. I don't know.
Assume, yeah.
But yeah, no, he wasn't in this movie. Batista's the Beast Raban.
Got it. Batista's doing great in this.
Yeah, very, very intimidating.
That's my favorite thing about Villeneuve is giving swole guys a chance to be actors. Yeah,
he's one of the most memorable aspects of Blade Runner 2049 is that opening scene with Batista.
Yeah, and you got Jason Momoa in this too, who I feel like is acting.
He's being, I mean, it's playing to what people like about Jason Momoa, this big, affable, boisterous guy, but it's done, it's integrated well. Like that's the first time we really see Paul be cheerful is when Duncan shows up, which is when Jason Momoa shows up.
Yeah, Duncan has a lot of charisma because he feels like a regular dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to explain the plot?
I mean, it's basically, okay, it's in the extreme future, like the year 10,000 something, so several thousand years in the future.
Yeah.
Where it's an empire. The universe is ruled over by an emperor, and there's this planet, Arrakis, where the Harkonnens, House Harkonnen, has been placed in charge. It's their fiefdom, I guess, or a fiefdom, however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are in charge of ruling and protecting the land for the emperor because they harvest this very valuable material called spice, which is like space cocaine that also powers spaceships.
Yes.
And the Harkonnens are cruel and ruthless and bestial in a lot of ways, like down to their physical appearance. And then you've got House Atreides, who are the Starks, basically, in the story, the quote-unquote good guys, who are just kind of trying to mind their own business and not really, they're like the benevolent rulers. And the Emperor is nervous about how much power the two houses are gaining, specifically House Atreides. So he basically puts them in a situation where they'll be at war with each other. He demotes Harkonnen from running Arrakis and places House Atreides in there instead, but supplies House Harkonnen with his own troops so that they can go in and basically wipe House Atreides out to secure the Emperor's power. It's all this fucking political intrigue. It's Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah. And
Paul...
also,
there's wizards. His mom's a wizard. The Bene Gesserit are like this clan of all women wizards who are feared and renowned and respected throughout the galaxy. They act as advisors to the different houses. His mom left the order to have him, and they believe he might be this chosen one, this Christ figure.
He's a special boy.
He's a special boy, and there's magic. There's like a version of the Force in it, basically.
Here's they do right, I think, about Special Boy, because it's Special Boy.
It's a Special Boy story. Yeah, every fucking sci-fi story is a Special Boy story, pretty much.
Yes, what they do, which this is one of those things where it's like, oh, Star Wars should have thought to do this because it's an awesome idea, is he has visions of holy wars fought in his name, and how it's like, it's not great. It's
ghastly. He's really upset by it.
Yeah, it's the realization that like it's an idea that I've only seen tackled in one other film that I can think of off the top of my head, and that film is Kevin Smith's Dogma, which is Alan Rickman talking about how when he had to tell Jesus what he was, he hated it and he was horrified. Because that's the better way, I think, of doing Special Boy, is you make it a really big burden, but then you keep that burden going. Like, I feel like Harry Potter tried to do that, but the burden wasn't complex. It was just, and the bad guy's going to go after you. And it's like, yeah, we know you're a Special Boy. When it's like, and people will do horrible things in your name, it's like, ooh, I like that. That's a really interesting angle.
On top of the burdens that we already know he carries from being the Duke's son and also the son of this Bene Gesserit wizard, and there's all these expectations put on him from two different directions, and then on top of that he finds out, so wait, I'm fucking Jesus too? God damn it!
He's like 7 types of Special Boy. Yeah. And then when he meets the people in the desert, and they're like, you are one of us too. And it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Everybody loves this honky. And it's just, I don't know. It's it makes for an inaccessible character, which I think is part of the problem.
Yeah. But go ahead, finish that thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, but, I think I'm just going to say what you're saying, but not like that. I didn't find it that much of a problem. Because even though he's very serious, they do the work to make them likable in their actions.
Yeah, for 100%. And also, the abstract idea of Paul is something that's relatable. I think a lot of people can relate to having expectations piled on you by your parents and being like, I don't know what to do with this. Like,
I love the term, the aspect. The what did you say? The
abstract
idea of Paul.
Yeah,
it's just can't. Neither can the internet. None of us can get over the fact that his name is Paul.
Sure, his name had to be something. Luke's name
fairness,
was Luke.
Luke, yeah, exactly.
It's like, what do you want? You want his name to be Gleepclorp? I don't know.
Kind of. Paul and his mother Jessica. No, you're right. It's honestly, I like this better.
I think what's funny is the mix of names, because like his dad's name is Leto.
Yes, that is what it is.
Josh Brolin's name is Gurney, and then you've got Duncan Idaho running around. Yeah. It's like his last name is Idaho.
Yeah, it's like a sketch joke where you go through all the weird names, and they're like, "And what's your name?" And he's like, "Paul." Yeah, and it's like, oh,
yeah, you got Paul and Jessica, and then Batista plays a guy named the Beast Raban.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it's the mix that's funny that makes it really funny.
Right. If he fights him, it's the Beast Raban versus Paul.
Right, and the leader of the Fremen, the Arrakis people, is named Stilgar.
Yeah, it's like the writer was coming up with names and then got tired.
Well, I think it's part of it. Paul. Part of it is to represent different cultures, right?
Yes, I think so. I think that is the idea, is to make really familiar names mixed with very weird names.
So there's like a distinct difference between the names of people from House Atreides, people from House Harkonnen, and people and the Fremen.
Right, and so he's our savior, Paul.
Yeah.
The
specialist special boy.
Yeah, and so they show them doing like the idea. Yeah, they do a good job at like they go there. And like this, the people who already live on this planet are like, fuck you. you know?
Yeah.
I love wrong.
I love that introductory scene of Javier Bardem as Stilgar where he walks in and like spits on the floor.
Yes. And they treat it really well because they say many times like, you know, people like you have come and gone.
Yeah.
Like we live here.
Yeah.
You keep coming here with your bullshit and your wars and your conquering. And they're showing it's another thing that's like it's tricky to get around because it's like, yeah, the good guys are also doing that.
Yeah.
But they're going to do it good. And it's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they put this idea in there of like the expectations being heaped on Paul are that he's this Christ figure that will get rid of the Emperor.
Right.
And not have space travel be bound to just this space guild that uses the spice to like power their spaceships or something. You know, they begin with this idea of like we need somebody to or we need to be free from this system.
Yeah, shit needs to change.
Yeah.
And right now they're part of the system.
Yeah.
They might be the nice ones because they show the idea of a harvester and they actually care about the safety of the people on the harvester. Mm-hmm. And they make the deal.
If you remember from the Lynch movie, that's where he cameoed. He was the driver of that harvester.
Oh, shit.
In that sequence.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. In the Lynch film, he's like driving that shit. We got to get the spice.
Oh, so good.
Lynch.
Javier Bardem, like when he talks to Oscar Isaac, he's like, "Look, I'm not going to be a monster. We might have to wander into your area, but we're never going to like hunt you or police you.
Yeah, or take your cities.
Take your shit.
Yeah,
yeah. And so like they're basically they're the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it's that it's about the system in general is the right idea, I guess.
Yeah, because we're still talking about colonialism, like it's you know. So, but yeah, they do thread the idea in from the beginning that the goal is to do away with this whole empire.
It's why, again, the story is inherently it's hard to get into because then look at Luke Skywalker. Where does he start? He's
one of the
farmer.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, he would be one of the people. Frodo, he's just hanging out, getting drunk. He doesn't have like most of these epics start with a character who is not powerful
from
going
humble
on a journey.
Beginnings. Correct.
Exactly.
Somebody who's not powerful.
And so the tricky part, and I know why they did it, is to start with someone who isn't learning humility. I feel like I don't remember his full arc in Dune.
Not really humility.
Yeah, it should be that.
It's
though.
more.
That's the problem.
It's more acceptance and like it's. I don't know because he's already pretty.
He's already a special boy before he learns he's a specialer boy.
Yeah.
Like he has everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like this story is designed to break him down.
Mm-hmm.
He has to wander in the desert multiple times. It feels like he gets like he gets into these situations, and so it's a lot of desert wandering, which they managed to make it more interesting than it sounds. I would argue.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's about this character kind of having to. I don't know.
Being connected with the people.
Yeah, it's kind of giving me Green Knight vibes now that I'm thinking about it. Because it's like, it's that idea of like...
The difference is that in the Green Knight, the movie version of the Green Knight, Gawain wanted the responsibility and Paul does not want the responsibility.
Yeah, and it's about these characters who are fancy boys who have to actually go on an adventure and become a actual person.
Yeah.
Which feels like it's interesting because, like, in both cases, it's almost like it's a rite of passage for, like, these royalty, because he's doing fight training and shit with Josh Brolin, where it's like, yeah, we don't want you to just be a fancy boy. We want you to actually get out there and maybe even die, and, like, that brings some honor to our bullshit. And so, like, I don't know. I get that. I get that idea. It's just tricky. The characters are tricky to make accessible.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's always a problem when you start out from the wealthiest, fanciest boy is our hero. It's like, okay,
I think it's because, though, is that actually like the Green Knight, because I would also say the Green Knight, the only reason I found that character charismatic is because he was playing him. Otherwise, it's also an inaccessible character.
Right, because, he's a wealthiest, fanciest boy who's also kind of a fuck up in the Green Knight, so...
It kind of boils down to what the point of a story is, because, like, there are a lot of stories that are more like works of art, where it's like like when you stand in front of a painting, you're not like, oh, I need to be emotionally, like, I need a character in this painting who is accessible to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, they're just telling kind of a specific story, an epic, and it's from kind of a very outside perspective, and it's hard to not do that. And that's why this movie is just fundamentally not for everybody. It's being advertised as it can be for everybody, as it's a Star Wars of some sort, but it's not designed
It's not that.
way.
No, it's not built that way, for sure.
No, it's built more, I guess, artistically. I don't like that word.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would. Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is. Not everything has to be everything to everyone.
Right. But this day and age, when movies like can't make, like that's the most incredible thing about this movie is that it's not a movie studios can afford to make.
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't see this movie making a lot of money, and it sure as hell cost a lot.
Yeah.
We've had epics work in the past, but they have to still follow kind of that formula, you know? They have to have the underdog. They have to have an in. They got to have humor. They got to have a little bit of everything, because we're trying to advertise this thing to the whole world. And so, like, it's really, I love that the Villeneuve thing is that they're like, all right, here's a bunch of money. Go make a very inaccessible film.
Yeah, go make a bomb that people will like.
Yeah.
Go make a bomb.
Go
make a bomb that's going to become like a beloved science fiction movie in 20 years.
Yeah, go make a cult classic, and they must know it. And it's interesting that it like almost is reassuring that there are still powers that be that will do that. You know, because surely they don't think this is going to make a lot of money. How could it?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. On the subject of this style, I do want to say, and I'm sure this isn't, if you saw in theaters, I'm sure it's one thing. I watched this at home with a home theater with a big projector and a nice sound system, and I couldn't fucking hear a word they were saying. And I know other people had this problem too. And I often have this problem with, like, specifically directors like this, and by this I mean, like, Christopher Nolan, who did Gravity? Why am I blanking on his name?
Inarritu.
No, that's not who did Gravity, is it?
Wait a minute.
It's the Harry Potters.
Yeah. Yes. Shit.
I tried to type it in, and I typed the word gravy.
Gravy.
I must be hungry. Gravity. Alfonso Cuarón.
Cuarón, that's right. God damn it. Why was I blanking on his name?
I was too, and I love his work. These are all directors whose work I love, and they all have the one thing in common, which that, I swear to Christ, all their sound design is made to have these incredibly loud music and sound effects and whisper fucking volume for the dialogue. I don't know if you had this problem.
Yeah.
It might be like a setting that I have to hit. Well, but I saw multiple people on Twitter being like, I can't fucking hear this movie.
Yeah. And that's been increasingly a problem. I don't know. The discussion that I've seen seems to be that they're being mixed for theaters, but not for people watching at home. But I don't know. Even then, it's
even
like
still,
like I saw this in a theater, and there's some dialogue where you just can't fucking understand what they're saying.
And even still, like, I've popped in the Blu-ray of Gravity, and it's the same problem. It's interesting because I think what they're doing is they like to have a rich spectrum of sound, and these movies are meant to be blasted for that reason. But it's just like when I turned it up so I could hear the dialogue, like, my windows would shake at other parts. And so it's like, that's cool, but I got neighbors, you know?
Yeah, it's not. It's something needs to be evaluated there. It's a real issue.
It is. It's weird though, because I do think it's that they're just doing more with the sound. They're being actually more creative. You know, I think it's. I like that. I do like that when the spectrum is really wide and like you'll get these like 2001 Space Odyssey moments of like these intense sounds because it adds to the drama. I do like it. It's just I don't know. Have multiple options with the sound or something. I don't know. I don't know what the solution there is.
Make
Tom.
the dialogue louder.
Yeah, just make the dialogue louder.
Like that's the solution. Like, what are you doing? Solution. Also, I think it's. I mean, there's problems like Tenet and stuff where it's like you have exposition in a speedboat scene. It's like sometimes I think it also has to do with you're coming out of a really loud sequence immediately into people talking at normal volume, and it's like your brain has to adjust to that.
Yeah.
So it's like
ears have to heal.
I'm hearing the. I don't even know if it's necessarily specifically a hearing thing. It's like you can't, like I'm hearing that they're making noises. I cannot decipher them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's this. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's definitely an issue though. Yeah, it's definitely an issue.
We haven't talked about what's her name? Zendaya.
Yeah, Zendaya.
Mm-hmm. Huh. I've never said her name out loud. She's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
I had a weird issue with her, is that I know her mostly as Mary Jane or MJ, so like it was weird to see her not crack wise. I didn't expect that, but like I see her as a comedic actress.
Oh, I don't know. Like it worked for the character. She's not...
Again, she's doing great. This is my brain. It's like if Jim Carrey was in the role, where I'm like, why aren't they being funny and sarcastic?
Yeah, but it's like the aspect of her as MJ that I think translates well to this character is it's not the cracking wise. It's more of the kind of no bullshit attitude.
Yeah, that's like, true, and she has that in this too.
Yeah, where it's like you don't impress me. Like what? Like,
oh yeah, I love when she meets him.
Yeah,
and she's like, "What's up, you little wiener? Here, use this knife. It's better to die while holding this knife.
Yeah,
because you're definitely gonna die.
You're absolutely gonna die."
Yeah, I was surprised that ending fight. Again, it's very almost anti most films. They don't. It's a very fast fight.
Mm-hmm.
He never really has any trouble. His trouble is he's never killed before, and he has to.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, it's an emotional climax as opposed to, and I do really like that. I liked the fighting in this because they didn't,
it's cool.
Everybody has a different style, and his style felt very rough. He's not flipping around and shit, he's not. He has visions of himself flipping around, but like who doesn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that not all of his visions come exactly true either.
I really liked that.
Yeah.
That was, I thought, extremely important for the sake of
his character, so you can kind of understand where he's coming from. It's like, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
I thought it was for the sake of plot, too, because if they all came true, that would be ridiculously boring.
That would suck. So I think it serves two purposes there. Yeah, it serves a meta purpose in what you're describing.
Yeah, because then we're like, okay, he's in the ballpark, but that doesn't mean it'll all happen. And so they can show us visions of characters dying or characters not dying, and we're not sure. It creates tension still.
Yeah.
For him and for us, where it's like it's never certain the future. Fate is, what we make of it.
Yeah, and he's also got Dr. Manhattan disease.
Wait, what's that?
Where they say something early in the film about how like this Messiah figure that Bene Gesserit has been talking about for years is supposedly able to experience all time simultaneously. So like when he first gets to the Fremen camp, he sees Jason Momoa there, even though Jason Momoa has already died.
Right. So he's seeing a version where Jason Momoa didn't die.
Or he's seeing when Jason Momoa met the Fremen in the past, which we know happened.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good because we'll get more Momoa.
Yeah. Moa, as they say.
Moa. Yeah, how are they going to do, like, I guess we're going to get more Javier Bardem in the sequel, I assume.
Yeah.
Zendaya, but we're not going to, I want more Oscar Isaac, and I'm not going to get more.
No, he's dead.
He's super dead.
He's pretty dead.
He died like 4 times. Yeah. With his poison breath. I love Skarsgård clinging to the ceiling.
Yeah. It's a real good moment.
Yeah. Skarsgård is doing everything we need him to do.
Yeah, he's being Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah. He's wearing a Mike Myers fat bastard suit.
He sure is.
He's flipping around. He's very agile for such a creature.
Well,
he's bathing in he's
got a hover thing.
Floating.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's bathing in goo.
Yeah.
I love their shields. Those are the little things where this director I knew was going to nail, which is taking familiar concepts like spaceship shields and making them look different and new.
Mm-hmm.
Where like the shields are like right up against everything.
Yeah, and it's a concept.
Really cool.
I assume it must be written that way because it's a concept. The version of the same concept is in the David Lynch film.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the suit shields and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sort of stuff where it's like in the David Lynch version they couldn't quite do.
Yeah,
you know,
because the effects weren't really there yet.
Yeah, and this they can nail it. And it's that idea of like sci-fi that looks so alien that it's abstract.
Yeah,
and yeah, that sequence where they bomb the place and they attack is so well done.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
It's that I think everybody can agree on. The cinematography, the effects, every shot is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And by the end I fully gave a shit about the characters.
Yeah.
For me it was like that first half hour that I was a little like, I don't know about these people. But they make you with their experiences, and as they continue in the film, like they become more interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Is the witch stuff going to come into play? The witch stuff feels very like, oh yeah, and they can like hypnotize people with their snake voices, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
they sure can. That was cool.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that's a thing.
It's the Force.
Yeah, it is the Force.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you want?
No, it's space magic. We've had it forever.
We've had it, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be explained. No. What I'm saying is like, yeah, I guess it's no different than the Force. Where
it really
it's like,
isn't,
what is the point of the Force in Star Wars? It's just a hat on a hat.
It's cool, yeah.
Yeah, and we like it. Because Star Wars could have gotten by completely on laser swords.
Uh-huh.
They could have just named the movie Laser Swords.
Yeah.
That would have been enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just another detail. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's fucking Dune. I don't know. There's a weird amount of I don't know. There's like a weird culture war going on, at least on social media around this movie, where it's like half the tweets I see are "How dare you not like Dune," and the other half are "How dare you like Dune?" And it's like, Jesus Christ, it's just a fucking movie. Like
it's just Dune.
It's Dune.
Film Twitter is and has always been the worst.
Real insufferable, yeah.
Yeah. And, I know I'm part of that. I'm sure I've been part of that.
Yeah.
It's a system, like this spice thing, where it's like, even if you feel like you're the good guys, you're still part of this system, and it needs to be taken down. We need to end film Twitter.
Yeah, I just end Twitter.
Yeah.
And social media is just a horrible idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I think in part it's because it's what we're talking about, where this is not an accessible film that they're pushing as like, yeah, go see Dune, bring the family. And it's like, no.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Don't do any of that. Like, it's rated PG-13. I almost wish they rated it R without changing a thing, just to make sure kids don't get like dragged to see Dune. Like, can you imagine being like 10 years old and you're like, ooh, I'm going to go see Dune with my family. And then you have to, like, it would be so dull for a child.
Yeah, I can't imagine that because I was that young or younger when I saw the David Lynch version.
Saw Dune, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you watch it or don't. It's a movie called Dune.
It's a movie. It's a fucking science fiction movie. Like I truly don't understand so many people have such extreme opinions about Dune.
Is it all of his films? Because I do think, again,
only recently.
Here's what I think happened. I think we were happy to just have him make somewhat indie films. Enemy, Prisoners. Enemy is a ridiculously inaccessible film.
Mm-hmm. That's an
Sicario.
abstract movie, yeah.
Yeah. He makes weird movies, right?
He makes weird serious adult movies.
Yeah, and then something happened. He made Arrival, and it accidentally was his most accessible film. Like Arrival, everybody was like, for like a few months, everybody was like, Arrival! Like
That's
everybody
true,
was into
everybody was really into that movie.
Yeah, and so like he got that like Nolan stink on him, where it's like, ooh, he's another one of those. And Nolan has this too, where it's like, everybody go see Nolan. Nolan has the same pattern where like Memento, Insomnia, where they never made accessible films. And then until they suddenly did. Nolan, it's a little more his fault because he made some Batman.
He made the Batsman.
Yeah. He's trying to be more accessible. I don't think this guy is. But I think after Arrival, then they gave him Blade Runner. And so it started becoming this idea of like, oh, is he making like blockbusters? And now he's getting so much money, but bless his heart, I don't think is changed. I think he's still making weird
sensibilities. Certainly haven't.
Yeah, he's just making the weird shit he always makes. And they got him tied to Cleopatra, and it's like,
ew. Yeah, I don't think we need to do that.
It's very funny to me because what they're doing is they're taking these older epics and sci-fi, noir and art,
older epic bombs.
Yeah, film nerd. They're taking the film nerd movies that were bombs that are seen as successes after the fact, and they're giving it to him. It just reminds me of like a horror director doing a bunch of horror remakes, you know, where it's like this is, I guess, his thing. That Hollywood's like, yeah, you get all the weird things that we just want to remake for some reason, but they're not accessible. They never were. Blade Runner, wasn't a hit until later. So they're just giving him all the film nerd stuff. And I don't know, that's fun.
Yeah.
I do, looking at his lineup, he's got a couple of mini-series, including Dune, the Sisterhood, whatever that is, something called The Sun. But after that, it's just all Dune and Cleopatra. And yeah, I kind of hope I want to see Enemy 2.
Right, like another movie like that. Or another movie like Prisoners.
Yeah, I want to see him go back to like, this is definitely not for anyone, or a lot of people. And so I think he's just in this weird, he's stuck in this like Twilight, this phantom zone between, are you a big Hollywood blockbuster director or not? And nobody seems to be able to decide that. And he's being treated like one. So you have your film Twitters, having this argument where it's like, what's the point? This shouldn't be a big international event, Dune. Yeah. I don't think, at least.
No, certainly not. It's a very Western story.
Right. But
very Western centric. Yeah.
At the top of the site.
Yeah, it's excluding any Arab people from the film, even though those are, it's that. That's a whole.
That's a whole other conversation about Dune.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I think part of me saying I wish this is the next big thing more has to do with the fact that I just want something else.
Mm-hmm.
We've done superhero films have been in the lead for how many years now?
10 years.
If you count the Spider-Mans, although, the mid-2000s, early 2000s wasn't like, it was the rise of superheroes. But I would say...
it was really just Spider-Man at that point.
Yeah, but there was a lot of attempts until then in Nolan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But firmly since Christopher Nolan, I would say. Since 2000... Jesus, that's 5, isn't it?
Yeah, but really it was The Dark Knight that...
Yeah. But you know what I mean. It's been
almost 15 years. Almost 20 years,
almost 20 years of superheroes, and he's getting... nothing against superhero films, but I want more shit like this.
Yeah, I need there to be other blockbusters.
Yeah, like part of me was rooting for Star Wars for that reason. Even though Star Wars is just a thing we already did, it was like, well, at least that's technically a shift. But then it was, what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's not going to be Dune's not going to be the next big thing.
No, nor should it be.
Yeah, nor should it be. If it is, that is a wild world. Like, that would be amazing. Like Lego Dune sets.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want that now. Like the little bald, pale Lego dudes.
Yep.
They do the Lego games. Dune Lego games.
Oh, yeah. Put it in my veins.
So good.
Put those plastic Lego bricks into my veins.
Dune.
Yeah, it's fucking Dune. It's not... I don't know. it's weird. It's by no means a perfect film. It's just it is what it is. I don't know. I don't understand why. I mean, I get a little bit of, at least what we were just talking about. The need for something that's not Disney, that's not Marvel.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like it's not going to be Dune. Like, this isn't the story for everyone. It's exclusionary. Exclusionist. Whatever. It excludes people by its very design. I
was going to say, you could argue it's the perfect film in that it set out to do something and then did it perfectly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but just the thing it's set out to do isn't universally accessible. Like I said at the top of this, I liked it. I didn't love it. That had nothing to do with the quality of the film. It's a very high quality film. To me, it's just the fundamental story, the characters. I didn't fall in love with them,
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a very well-made movie.
Yeah.
It is a masterpiece from that perspective, I think. Masterpiece sounds really like a pretentious thing to call it, but
yeah,
you know what I mean, where it's like this director, it does feel like it's all lead into shit like Dune.
I don't think you're going to get a better version of Dune.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you love Dune,
but it is still just Dune. Like, it's
exactly. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's like a really good sandwich is a sandwich, and that's fine. I like sandwiches, but it's never going to be not a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's only ever going to be that sandwich.
Yeah, and this is always going to be Dune.
Yeah,
and if you love Dune, guess what? You'll love this movie that is called Dune.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't like the first Dune, you won't like this Dune.
Probably not going to like this one much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same story.
It's Dune.
Yep. With all the same problems.
Yeah.
It's less white than the original version.
It is. It's less white than the original. That's true. You know who I do want to see in this?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Little Timothée Chalamet looks a lot like Kyle MacLachlan.
He's killing it, but could you imagine that sequence? And David Lynch still played the driver?
Yeah.
That's what should
get me out of this space harvester. The worm is coming.
Look, he's got another movie. He's still got time to stick David Lynch in.
It's true, yeah. One. David Lynch could show up in part 2, yeah.
Oh, that would be
Get
amazing.
him in there.
Get him in there. Get him in Dune.
I think that's enough about Dune.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got nothing more to say.
I got nothing more to say about Dune.
It's Dune.
It's Dune. Just fucking watch it or don't. It's fine.
Watch it or don't.
It's just like any other movie. I don't...
It's just we've done this a million times. You sit down, you watch the movie, you like it or you don't like it. And then
I'm just saying that to this weird quasi culture war that's sprung up around it. It's like, fucking Christ, it's a movie. It's a pretty good one in my opinion, but still, it is just a movie.
It is, and it's a weird one to have this about because, like, again, I get debate around stuff like superhero movies because there's a fatigue element and everybody's just, and there's been so many.
Yeah.
This is it's just trying to be a humble Dune.
Yeah, humble Dune.
It's just a humble Dune.
Paul Atreides.
Yeah. Oh, Christ.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think we can all agree on one thing, which is amazing title font. Like, I'm looking at the poster for David Lynch Dune, and I'm like, it's right there. Like, how did you not, like, it's the same curve. Just the same curve 4 times. Why was this the first movie to realize that?
I don't know.
You do the half circle 4 times. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Whoever designed that was just like, oh, I'm
nailed
the best.
I've nailed it.
Yeah.
I've done it. We've done Dune, everyone.
We've done Dune.
All right.
So, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys about our Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, you can find some exclusive podcasts on there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, and Fox Mulder is a Maniac, and Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our very new Spiel Boys.
Oh, there's Spiel Boys.
It's great. So, yeah, check that out. There's other things on there, too, but you find that out when you go there.
Yeah, we also have a store. Head over to GamefullyUnemployed.com. You can find the link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs that you can get on T-shirts and stickers and mugs and posters and all kinds of stuff. So, go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Hop in your little dragonfly helicopter and check that out.
Yeah. You know why you don't have one of those? Because when you go into a sandstorm, guess what happens?
Mm-hmm.
The little dragonfly wings snap off.
Yeah. That is what happens.
That is what happens. That's Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Dune.
It's Dune.